Hello and welcome. This is Out Motorsports. My name is Jake and this is the 2020 Mazda MX-5 Miata RF. If you were following our YouTube channel at the end of last calendar year, you'll recall that I already reviewed an MX-5 Miata RF. It was white and I enjoyed it even in December. I put the top down, had a great time. So why did Mazda send me another one? Well, this gray MX-5 Miata RF has a little bit of a secret. It's an automatic. Yeah, this is a Miata with 2 pedals, which is like sacrilege to a lot of Miata owners and buyers and car enthusiasts and everyone. But Mazda claims that this one is pretty good as far as automatics go. Now, they've offered an automatic in the Miata since day one. The car came out in 1990 and you could get it with a 4-speed automatic transmission, and it wasn't very good. But automatics at the time in most cars were pretty bad. They were 4 speeds at best. They changed gears very slowly. They got worse fuel economy. They accelerated poorly. They were no fun to drive at all. You could barely control the gears that they were picking, if at all. And with modern automatic transmissions, that's all changed. A lot of cars have some excellent automatics. There are cars that I think are better with an automatic. And the Miata here is one that may or may not be better with an automatic, but Mazda sells both, and it is not the old 4-speed slush box from the NA and NB. This car has a 6-speed automatic with paddle shifters. So Mazda sent this car over to see if we thought it was any good compared to the stick shift Miatas that we've both owned and driven. So let's take a look. All right, now popping the hood of the 2020 Mazda Miata RF with the automatic transmission, you are going to get the same 2-liter Skyactiv G naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that you would get if you bought the manual transmission car. And in both cases, this motor makes 181 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. Those are not huge numbers, but the car does not weigh that much either. At its heaviest, at its most equipped, Mazda says the car weighs a little under 2,500 pounds. Now, of course, you do have to consider that with an automatic versus a manual, you're gonna have a little bit more drivetrain loss in that you're gonna lose a little bit more power from what the engine produces to what gets put down at the rear wheels. Now, the other thing with the automatic transmission in particular is that you will lose the otherwise standard limited slip differential. This car does not have a ton of power and torque to put down in the first place, but a limited slip is always nice in a sports car, especially one that is this small and nimble that you'll probably end up using for things like autocross or hitting up a lot of back roads in between all your day-to-day driving. Now, Mazda claims that this Skyactiv G 2-liter 4-cylinder is up to 15% better on fuel economy than the engine that it replaced, which was a non-Skyactiv G 2-liter 4-cylinder. These cars are good on fuel, especially on the highway, whether you get the stick or the automatic, but we're not here to talk about that. And I don't think a lot of sports car buyers are shopping with fuel economy at the very top of their list. If the car they buy gets great economy, then that's kind of a nice perk. In any case, the car will do fine on fuel, but we're here to talk about how fun this thing is to drive with just 2 pedals on the floor. So let's put the top down and let's see how that goes. All right, so driving the 2020 Miata RF with the automatic transmission. The car itself is generally really good. I am tall, I'm kind of big for these things, and I'm willing to squeeze myself into one of these because it is just that nice to drive. But we've already talked about how the car is to drive, how it handles, things like that, so I'm gonna talk about the automatic for the most part in here. This is an engine that likes to rev, so you really need to get it high in the rev range to make the most out of it. You know, like I said, it makes 181 horsepower, 151 pound-feet, and the automatic, as most are tuned to do, is tuned to keep the revs as low as possible unless you're really digging your foot into it, and that makes for an unhappy Miata. No Miata in the history of Miatas has liked to blub around at 1500 RPM. They don't have torque. They're not supposed to have torque. They never will have torque. So the automatic kind of goes against it. There is a sport mode that will keep things a little more juicy if you've got it in its full automatic setting, but it still wants to upshift a lot. It still kind of takes the car out of its element a lot of the time. So you're left with the shifter here in the middle and the paddles on the steering wheel. And the car itself, you know, the handling's good. It is a Miata in that aspect, 100%. But the shifter and the automatic here, really for me, they kind of kills it for me. You've got the shifter here on the center console, and then you've got paddles on the steering wheel. And there's a lot of cars, like I said earlier, who have that setup, and it's a fine setup, and the transmission is tuned well, and it shifts quickly, and it listens to you. And this transmission listens to you, but it listens kind of over, not dial-up, but like that awkward phase of high-speed internet in 2001 that was like quick but not really very fast. That's this transmission. Every gear shift has a notable delay between when you call for it and when it happens. And in a car like this, you don't want that feeling. Yes, technically, I'm sure it is shifting still quicker or as quick as a human could shift a manual transmission Miata, but if you're gonna pull a paddle to upshift or downshift, you really expect instantaneous shifting at this point, whether that's with a dual clutch automated manual transmission or a really good torque converter automatic like the ZF 8-speed that's in almost everything these days. And like I said, a good automatic can be really fun to drive. Case in point, the Toyota Supra that I just gave back has a really good, well-tuned ZF 8-speed behind it. And it doesn't detract from the car's experience at all. And in fact, I think in that car, a manual might detract from the experience. In this Miata, the automatic is fine. It's not actively bad. It's not like it's ignoring the shift requests I make or doing anything really egregious, but it needs to be better. If you're going to be choosing an automatic sports car or roadster in 2020, you have a lot of options that have simply evolved with better technology at this point. This 6-speed feels old. Now, of course, there are going to be folks who cannot drive a stick shift for whatever reason, you know, given physical ailments or disabilities. And if you are one of those people, absolutely buy an automatic Miata. They are 90-some% of what a Miata should be, and they are very good in most cases. The automatic does listen to you. It will not upshift. It will let you sit on the fuel cut all day long, which if you're going to get into autocrossing with this car or you want to really control things on a back road, it'll listen. It'll do it. It's just the shift timing, the shift logic, if it's left in its own automatic mode, is just not quite there. And really, part of the fun of a Miata is dropping the top and just ragging it out on a back road or on a racetrack or on an autocross course. And you lose that kind of visceral connection to the car with the transmission that's in this. I know it probably sounds like I'm going on and on and on about it, but Miatas with 3 pedals have been so good since literally day one that if they're going to have an automatic, it needs to be really great, especially if they're going to have it in 2020. If you're able to drive a stick shift, or if you want to learn to drive a stick shift, the automatic in this is not good enough that I would say, yes, go buy it. And the stick shift in this car is truly excellent, especially compared to some of the other stick shifts on the market today. And yes, they are going by the wayside. This may be one of the last stick shift cars anyone can buy brand new. So why not save the manuals? Why not buy one, own one, have a little fun with it for, you know, while we still can? If you must have the automatic, it is certainly not the worst automatic in the world. It is light years beyond what Mazda offered in the 90s and 2000s, all the way through 2005. Those were 4 speeds. They were not great. This 6-speed, by contrast, is much better. It's just, it doesn't feel as up-to-date as it could for a 2020 model year car. And it doesn't make the driving experience markedly worse, but it doesn't improve it. It doesn't give you 100% of what a Miata should be in my opinion. And so those are my thoughts on the 2020 Mazda MX-5 Miata RF with 6-speed automatic transmission. Thank you so much for coming along today. If you like this video and like what we're up to, please take a second and subscribe to the channel. Thank you to all of you who have shown up and subscribed in recent weeks and months. We so appreciate the support. There are many more of these videos to come from me and many other folks. So until next time, thank you so much for watching. Take care, drive safe, and we'll see you for the next one.